Trevor Oblivion here, and I'm here to talk about, as you've seen from the title, My Hero Beyond. This game is similar to Project Shinobi, of how it's going to be open world and it's going to be multiplayer, custom characters, storylines, being able to do good and bad, and it's really looking like it's going to be a good game, except what's underneath all the development that you don't see, and I'll explain it here. But before I talk about that, I'm going to talk about the good things I see from this game that Project Shinobi aren't necessarily doing. The first thing I can obviously point out is how the visuals and the characters are cohesive. Like, you can actually say, like, these are from the same, this is from the same universe. They look cohesive, they look like they belong here. The characters obviously look pretty good. They look really good. Some characters are really flashy, some characters have their likeness and whatnot, and it's really good. The other thing I also admire about this project is the overall ambition of this project, and also it's really, it really shows that putting out something like a demo can really let your players know what you're capable of. And what Project Shinobi did wrong is putting out a demo, or in the like currently being developed state where it's not incomplete. There's a lot of bugs, and it's showing how it could be, but it's not showing its best. And that's why I think Project Shinobi should have came out with a more reasonable demo instead of like an in development build of the game. And that's why I think that My Hero Beyond has a more, feasible chance in making something pretty good. Now, saying that, I'm going to point out some of the bad things I've seen. First thing is, like, if we're talking about characters, the characters are extremely different, but in a bad way. Like, some characters, like Deku, is like extremely fast to a point where it's like unreasonably fast, and then some characters are like slower than others, and it's hard to think of how you would balance a game like this. Because let's say you want a custom character, but how would you select your quirk? Is it random? What if you get a terrible quirk? Do you just play through the game with it? What if you get an overpowered quirk and you kill everybody? It's to the point where these kind of games will never be balanced if you give somebody a random, a random quirk, because either they're gonna just try until they get the best one, or they're gonna be stuck with a pretty mediocre one. And if you give people an ability to pick, then it's obviously they're gonna go for the best one, or one that fits their fun, and won't go for ones that are unique and all that dev time was put into. Another thing I've seen was that they said in it was a statement on their website about like development and what they're gonna do with the game, and they say in that they're gonna have 30 plus characters. If the character creation goes all the way up to just looks, then I wonder how they're gonna balance 30 and 30 plus characters. Rainbow Six Siege said they were going to have 100, and they're stuck at around, I believe they have 80 I believe they have around 60 characters, and they're a far cry away from 100. They used to have 2 new operators every season, now they're going down to 1, and some seasons you don't even get a new operator now. So I wonder how 30 plus characters are going to be developed and also balanced in this game. Another thing I've seen is, like, I think just saying that there's going to be 30 and more characters is there's a high presence of feature creep already in this project. There's a lot of people that's working on a project, but feature creep can take down any studio, because if you add a feature, there's going to be bugs, and they need to fix the bugs, and those bugs might make other bugs, and then let's say you want to add another feature, and then it happens again, and then all that does is put it in development hell, where it's always being developed, and there's always bugs, and then there's always something after that instead of a release date. Like, that is really, generally that's a really bad practice. Feature creep is really bad. You have a demo, which is good, but you don't. It doesn't seem like they have a plan. Like they don't have a guideline. They don't have a roadmap, like internally or publicly. Another thing I seen on their main menu screen, there was a race mode, and I was confused about how would they would do a race mode. I'm thinking in my head that they're doing a race mode like you race against other people to like racing like any of like cars or whatnot. And then let's say you pick Deku and you pick anybody else from the demo. Who's gonna win the race? All Might, maybe that might be a good contender, but it's so. That's where you could tell like the balancing act of whether or not how you would implement 30 characters and how each of them will be viable. Like each character needs to have something good about it, or what's the point of making it? But here I'm going to talk about the really bad things that I think is coming out of this project, and first and foremost is the feature creep. The feature creep, it looks like it's going to be killing it right now. They started off great with a demo, but even from the demo, there's bugs and glitches, so they're not even putting out their best foot. And I understand that there's gonna have bugs and glitches, but that should have been already taken care of, or after all the videos, update that so it can be better. I've seen more up-to-date ones that fix some of the glitchiness and some of the bugs, but it seems kind of janky, to be honest. Another thing is, even like for these fan games, it's either this or that, and this it's a terrible game. Nobody play it, and that is, it's such a good game that you ultimately get the cease and desist letter that says you're not allowed to use our characters. You're making money off our characters, and even if you're not making money, there's plenty of cases where studios will just say you're not gonna make that. That's our characters, even if you sell it for free. And it's just inevitable. It's going to be one or the other. It's going to be not good enough to play, or you're going to get a cease and desist because of how good it is. So it's really just a terrible flip of the coin to go down this fan-made game path. But I do have some solutions to this that I think that people need to, consider this. The first thing is to start small and build up. Everybody from you watch a movie, you watch a TV show, you watch an anime, you read a book, you're ultimately gonna want to make that world. But if some big company hasn't done it, it's mainly a good reason, and majority of the time it's because it's so hard to keep up. This is borderline MMO, and MMOs take millions of dollars just to upkeep, just to update, squash bugs, maintain servers, do a lot of things that is difficult. And this is a pretty big, group of people that's making this, but also there's millions of studios that have way more people that failed MMOs so drastic. It was really bad. So I don't think that just having numbers is enough to say we should go for the highest point. I think that they should start with the stuff that is on their splash screen, like race mode, time mode, and, stuff like that. Explore. Once they have all that stuff built, I think they would have a good sense of what needs to be balanced and how the game's gonna flow. Because it seems like they just made a couple characters, and they say, "Oh, this looks cool here," but how would you fit those separate characters into a situation where they could be viable? Is the balancing act of the year, to be honest. All right. And the next thing that can be a solution is to have a timeline, and each of those timelines have a goal, and then once you do that, do not add nothing else. There's no extra goals. Don't add any other thing, because feature creep right now seems like it's killing the game. You shouldn't even have 30 or more characters. You should start with 5 drastically different characters, and then see if you can add any more characters after you put out another playable demo with those characters being put in a solution. Because right now, there's playable characters, but there's nothing for them to be placed. There's no obstacle. There's no do this, go here, do that. There's no missions. There's no, there's no point to being in there other than just to see the character and some of the quirks. And also to have a deadline. Not a deadline for when the game's gonna release, even though that would help as well, but a deadline for, updates. Like, let's say you want to update every week. The game is small enough where you could update this game every week and have a reasonable, list of changes or bug fixes or whatever. Or you could do monthly where you update the demo monthly, showing how the characters are going to be placed in situations and which characters are better for those situations, to really show diversity, and let the players know that like each character has its place. So, and also for the the big letter of cease and desist letter, is to always make a game that's obviously not tied to the people that obviously have the IP. Or you could say it in the beginning, say this is a fan game. Or you could make a game that's similar, that's in the same universe. Because even if you use somebody's likeness, even if you say it's a fan game, you can still get a cease and desist letter if their money is being taken from them by you using their character. So that's the way you could solve that. And I'm not a big My Hero fan, but I am a game developer, so I do have to talk about, when I see a game going up and it's looking good, you always got to look behind it. I think the team is doing a pretty good job, but I think it's just everybody wants this. Everybody wants an open world game where you can, and your favorite animes, movies, TV shows, whatever, and you want to be in that world. But the reason that doesn't exist is because it is difficult to maintain and also difficult to create. And the balancing act is tremendous. So, just, just some words that I think. This has been your boy Travel Oblivion, and I'm out.